Hello, everybody. I'm Seth Weissman, and welcome to another episode of Safe Real Estate. Today, we are going to talk about a few additional points with regards to temporary occupancy agreements that I want to make sure that all of my realtor friends are aware of. First of all, what our GAR form says is that the temporary occupancy agreement should not be more than for 60 days. If it's more than 60 days, you should use a lease form, not a temporary occupancy agreement form. And the reason that we actually cut it off at the 60-day mark is technically, if I am allowing someone to occupy the house for more than 60 days, I may lose my qualification as an owner-occupied house. It is often then viewed by lenders as an investor property, which means that you may not get as good an interest rate if you're allowing someone to occupy the property for more than 60 days. The second point I want to make with regards to temporary occupancy agreements is that the seller who is occupying post-closing should always check with their insurance company to make sure that their personal property is covered, because in many instances you're terminating your insurance as of the date of closing. So if, God forbid, there was a fire or a water leak or some other calamity in the house where your personal property is destroyed, the seller obviously wants to make sure that their personal property is protected. So advise your sellers to talk to their insurance representative. Third, buyers should be reminded that with a temporary occupancy agreement, what happens is that they are responsible for all maintenance and repairs once the closing takes place, unless the need for maintenance or a repair is caused by some malfeasance on the part of the seller. So we recently had a situation where the air conditioning system broke 2 days after closing. And the seller called the buyer and said, "I'm so sorry to tell you this, but as you know, the air conditioning system was on its last leg. It's now gone kaput. And will you please, Mr. Buyer, fix it?" The buyer was furious. The buyer really thought it was the responsibility of the seller to repair the broken air conditioner, but that's not how life works. The buyer agreed to assume all responsibilities of ownership as of the date of the closing. And in this case, they did not do so. And then finally, with regards to the temporary occupancy agreement, we always want you to have language in that agreement to discourage the seller from holding over longer than they agreed to. So the way you do that is to put in a fairly large per day holding over fee. And the fee should not be $50 or $100, because that is less expensive than staying in a night in a hotel. What you want to do is to have the holding over fee be something that is painful to the seller. Make it $500 or $1,000 a day so that the seller has a real incentive to get out of the house when they said they were going to. Because if the seller does not leave when they're supposed to, the buyer's only remedy is really to go and evict the seller, and by having a large holding over fee, creates an incentive for the seller to get out of the house. I hope these little tips on temporary occupancy are beneficial. As always, it's great to see everyone. Please continue to tune in. Bye now.